Good morning, everybody. Well, I heard this whole NAFTA negotiation as a bad dream turned into a nightmare upon waking. And this morning I woke up and I saw this, and I didn't see this last night, so this was what I woke up to, and I just thought, oh my God, this is kind of like a middle school government has taken over the Canadian government, and the adults haven't stepped in yet. Like, let's see where these kids are going to go with this. You know what would help us negotiate NAFTA, guys? T-shirts. So, Miss Freeland, okay, well, here's the tweet. Quote, Canada's foreign minister at Care Freeland wearing, quote, keep calm and negotiate NAFTA t-shirt at DC airport tonight ahead of critical talks tomorrow. Canadian Polly. Yeah, really. Wow. I don't know in what world she thought this was a good idea. Like, you don't need to make statements with your wardrobe, madam. You need to get to Washington and negotiate in good faith. That's what you need to do. Okay, so Doug Ford is going to be weighing in, and I thought I'd take you back to June 13th. And the reason I'm going to show you this is because being in the government, you have to present a united front. But the fact that he's going down there himself to be updated on the talks, etc., is not unprecedented, but a little out of the ordinary. I mean, the fact that the talks are failing and everybody kind of knows it, and Congress is sending out press releases saying, hey guys, smarten up or you're going to miss out on this deal. I mean, if you're looking at a job loss of 125,000 good, high-paying jobs and additional tariffs for the other industries that aren't just decimated by that, yeah, you're going to go down there, right? Like, I mean, I would be really upset if he didn't go down there. So, but this is just after the G7. This is when things were kind of uncertain. We're not sure how Mr. Trump is going to react. We're not sure what damage control Mr. Trudeau is going to do. And it turns out none. He went surfing. So, but this is back then. Okay, so this is June 13th, 2018, right after the collapse of the G7 deal in principle.
One of our most important commitments is to protect Ontario jobs. Since day one of this transition, we have closely followed the ongoing negotiations with our neighbors to the south. I'm working closely with my transition team and senior officials handling these critical talks. My friends, the stakes are high. Thousands of jobs rely on the outcome of these talks. Thousands of Ontario families are counting on us to defend their interests, and that is exactly what we will do. I want to be very clear that the Ontario government will stand side by side with our federal partners. We will stand shoulder to shoulder when it comes to our national and provincial interests. And my top priority, again, is protecting Ontario jobs. Today, I met with industry leaders from the steel and automotive industry. We had a very productive discussion on how the tariffs will impact each and every one of them. I assured them that the Ontario government will work tirelessly to support them and support Ontario workers. Tomorrow, I'll meet with Minister Freeland, Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs, and David McNaughton, our ambassador to the United States. I'll reaffirm our commitment to collaboration between our governments and share the concerns I heard from our industry leaders today. My friends, Canada's relationship with the United States is the greatest economic and security relationship in the entire world. Workers, businesses, and families on both sides of the border depend on this relationship. We remain confident that the U.S. administration understands that escalating tariffs and quotas on manufacturing is not the answer. These would hurt American jobs as much as they hurt Canadian jobs. My friends, I've said from day one that Ontario is open for business.
Okay, and so fast forward to today, and Mr. Ford is heading down. This is yesterday he was speaking about this, so we'll listen to this whole thing as well.
My friends, that is why we're going to cut the red tape and regulations that are holding you back, and that is why we're committed to increasing the risk management program cap for our supply management sectors. And that is why I'll be going down to Washington, D.C. to meet with our federal officials and make the case that any NAFTA deal must protect Ontario jobs in both auto and agriculture sectors. And I won't mix words when I go down there, because farm jobs are not a bargaining chip, not now, not ever at all.
So I don't know if Mr. Ford is going down to talk to Ms. Freeland, or if he's talking to, I mean, presumably his role is not to talk directly to the opposing side. He's not going to talk to the United States. He's going to talk to Ms. Freeland and say, listen, like, you get shit done. That's how I understood that. But I could be wrong. I could be misinterpreting it, and Mr. Ford is going down there to tell the Americans that it's not a bargaining chip, which doesn't really make sense. So hopefully he's going to tell Ms. Freeland to smarten up and get the deal done. That doesn't mean that our press is any nicer to Mr. Ford, but that's fine. This is just pretty much straight up reporting and everything that I've talked about up till now, and another CBC article talking about it. These articles stress that Doug Ford is shoulder to shoulder with Justin Trudeau. So if you're reading this, it's presenting like Ford is going to hold Trump to task. So, but this Star article kind of tips their hand a little bit. Ottawa worried Ford's Washington visit could impact NAFTA talks. I don't know how much. Like, what is he going to wear? Is he going to wear a T-shirt that says "We don't like Trudeau"? Like, what is he going to do that is possibly worse than your lead negotiator? Eh? Maybe he'll wear a suit to negotiations. Eh? Maybe he'll wear something not branded. Ridiculous. So I went back and I wanted to look at what the G7 communique. So at the end of the G7, they come up with a communique, and it's put out, and they agree with certain things, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they were using the time, like Trudeau and Trump, to come up with a bilateral deal, just like Mexico did, that would govern our part of NAFTA, and things were good. But I thought that it was important to highlight this part. I'm not going to talk about all of the highlighted stuff, just number 5 here. So, quote, we call for the start of negotiations this year to develop stronger international rules on market-distorting industrial subsidies and trade-distorting actions by state-owned enterprises. We also call on all members of the Global Forum on Steel Excess Capacity to fully and promptly implement its recommendations. We stress the urgent need to avoid excess capacity in other sectors, such as aluminum and high technology. We call on the International Working Group on Export Credits to develop a new set of guidelines for government-supported export credits as soon as possible in 2019. And there's other talk about fixing the WTO. So in number 4, they talk about fixing the WTOs to be more open and transparent. We underline the crucial role of rules-based international trading system and continue to fight protectionism. We note that the importance of bilateral, regional, and plurilateral agreements being open, transparent, inclusive, and WTO consistent, and commit to working to ensure that they complement the multilateral trade agreements. We commit to modernize the WTO to make it more fair as soon as possible. And this is Trump's demand right here. He wants it to be more fair. We strive to reduce tariff barriers, non-tariff barriers, and subsidies. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys that because this is the deal. Like, this is what Trump was thinking. This is in the communique. Okay, this is also at the end of the G7 presser that Trump gives, and I may even I'm going to go grab it because it's really quick. Okay, so Trump is using the G7 to say I want to make fair trade, free trade, and modernize the WTO to make it possible as soon as possible, and all of these other guidelines. And this is the post G7 press conference, and when Trump is talking about having free trade all across the G7. This is before the summer of Trudeau doing nothing, surfing and going on vacation and being ridiculous. So, but this is what the man said. This is June 9th, just before he negotiated peace with North Korea. Remember that?
I did. Oh, I did. That's the way it should be. No tariffs, no barriers. That's the way it should be. And no subsidies. I even said no tariffs. In other words, let's say Canada, where we have tremendous tariffs the United States pays tremendous tariffs on dairy, as an example, 270%. Nobody knows that. We pay nothing. We don't want to pay anything. Why should we pay? We have to, ultimately, that's what you want. You want a tariff-free, you want no barriers, and you want no subsidies, because you have some cases where countries are subsidizing industries, and that's not fair. So you go tariff-free, you go barrier-free, you go subsidy-free. That's the way you learned at the Wharton School of Finance. I mean, that would be the ultimate thing. Now, whether or not that works, but I did suggest it, and people were, I guess they're going to go back to the drawing board and check it out, right? But we can't have an example where we're paying, the United States is paying 270%. Just can't have it. And when they send things into us, you don't have that. I will say it was not contentious. What was strong was the language that this cannot go on. But the relationships are very good, whether it be President Macron or with Justin. Justin did a really good job. I think the relationships were outstanding. But because of the fact that the United States leaders of the past didn't do a good job on trade, and again, I'm not blaming countries, I'm blaming our people that represented our past. It's got to change. It's going to change. I mean, it's not a question of, I hope it changes. It's going to change 100%. And tariffs are going to come way down because people cannot continue to do that. We're like the piggy bank that everybody's robbing, and that ends. In fact, Larry Kudlow is a great expert on.
So, I mean, like, I don't know how much more clear he needs to be, but having a temper tantrum because he wants free trade and we want to protect our milk, like, absolutely ridiculous. Here's another thing, same presser that he talks about. He talks about specifically NAFTA, and if there isn't a deal, how disastrous it would be, and he's not looking to play those games. Here it is.
Substantially, we're talking about very big changes, or we're going to make a deal directly. Either leave it the way it is as a threesome deal with Canada, with the United States and Mexico, and change it very substantially. We're talking about very big changes. Or we're going to make a deal directly with Canada, directly with Mexico. Both of those things could happen. If a deal isn't made, that would be a very bad thing for Canada, and it would be a very bad thing for Mexico. For the United States, frankly, it would be a good thing. But I'm not looking to do that. I'm not looking to play that game. So we're either going to have NAFTA in a better negotiated form, or we're going to have two deals.
So, and then the guy gets into a sunset clause, and I did a whole video on that. It's Trudeau's Trade War Part 2, Electric Boogaloo Sunset Clause Nightmare. So, and the link to that will be in the description. And so that's Trump the day just before Trudeau has his press conference, and I do a whole breakdown on that. That's Trudeau's trade war. You can look links in the description. But he's really, really clear. One, I'm not looking to play those games. Two, if a deal isn't reached on NAFTA, it's a disaster, and I know it. And three, we want fair, free trade, period. Okay, this is Trump warning Justin Trudeau after Justin Trudeau was an idiot and had a press conference pretending to be Mr. Tough Guy. Well, I'll let Mr. Trump say it. I'll let Mr. Trump fill you in.
I left it. It was very friendly. When I got onto the plane, I think that Justin probably didn't know that Air Force One has about 20 televisions. And I see the television, and he's giving a news conference about how he will not be pushed around by the United States. And I say, push him around. We just shook hands. It was very friendly. And no, I have a good relationship with Justin Trudeau. I really did. Other than he had a news conference that he had because he assumed I was in an airplane and I wasn't watching. He learned that's going to cost a lot of money for the people of Canada. He learned. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. It's very simple. Like, this isn't, like I said at the beginning of the video, like, did middle schoolers take over our government? And the adults are like, let's let this play out. Let's see how it works out for them, Cotton. Like, but the problem is, at this point in time, and people have been trying to tell me that Canada holds all the cards because we're so intertwined. Yeah, okay. Trump drops the hammer, closes the border, and not even closes the border, but puts up his tariffs, 25% tariffs on steel, cars, all that other stuff. What recourse do we have? Like, really, what recourse do we have? His jobs, he starts saying to the northeastern states, northwestern states, all of those states that have lost manufacturing jobs for the last 30 years because of NAFTA, he says, guess what, guys? Canada shot themselves in the foot and they don't want these jobs. Here you go. And Ford comes back, GM comes back, and Canada loses. I don't see another way this plays out at this point in time, unless we capitulate. And I said before, the three sticking points were Chapter 19, cultural exceptions, which is they don't want American interests to control Canadian media, and the supply management. Bernier's solution is you give up supply management to keep the Chapter 19, and sorry to not explain what that is. Chapter 19 is the ability for an independent court to hear disputes about trade barriers. This was used during softwood to fix the tariff on softwood coming into the United States, and Canada wanted a better deal. And I'm not going to get into the softwood thing, but Trump is really clear. He wants free trade. He wants fully free trade. And he's willing to negotiate he negotiated with Europe to protect some car parts. So he's willing to negotiate within a scope. But man, we've got to show that we're willing to deal. We're negotiating in good faith. And negotiating in good faith is, I'll give you this if you give us that. Not, you have to give us this because we're Canada and we're better than you. No. Like, this is negotiations. It has nothing to do with morality. It has nothing to do with better than anybody. And it has nothing to do with gender parity, which is the stupidest friggin' idea in the world. So, if Canada is not willing to play at the table correctly, negotiate in good faith instead of being children and wearing T-shirts and negotiating in the press and pretending to be tough guys to news reporters when the person that you're negotiating with is watching from Air Force One, yeah, man, it's going to blow up in your face. And it doesn't look like Justin Trudeau is trying to negotiate in the best interest of Canada. It looks like he's trying to tank the entire economy. That's what it looks like. And it looks like Donald Trump is being extremely patient, but Congress is not. So this isn't done by the end of the month. Canada's in real, real trouble. And it's not Donald Trump's fault. It's Justin Trudeau's fault. Period. We need new leadership in Canada. MaximeBernier.com, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. Check it out. Thanks for watching.